Welcome back to the Chosen Journey with Big Money Grip, Steve Karsay. I'm the chosen lawyer, and we are upon full swing MLB playoff season. Steve, how wicked is the baseball right now?
It's been pretty good. I mean, obviously, very unpredictable. I think from that point of view, but the baseball has been quality, and it's been really fun to watch.
So we're gonna talk today in today's episode. We're gonna talk about the baseball playoff format because there's a lot of debate going on as far as this new format and people liking it, not liking it. But before starting off, we gotta talk about those wild card games. And I'm very proud to predict that I was 0 for 4. None of my predictions came true. I saw it so clearly. Steve, they all should have been gimmies. What the heck happened in the wild cards?
Well, nothing's ever a gimme, right? In whether it's football, baseball, you can play the game on paper all you want, but the game's played on the field, and there's a human element to the game that we've always talked about. When guys get out there, it's a different story. Some teams are in a better position health wise. You never know what's going on with injuries and how guys are banged up going into a series like that, but. At the end of the day, it's quality baseball. It's unpredictable. You got some teams in, the LCS, especially in the National League that nobody expected. I think you got the two in the American League that everybody expected. And now you just got to wait and see, and we'll see how this goes.
The American League teams got there as expected, but not how we expected it. And the Astros have just been steamrolling through, and it'll be interesting to see where they're at. The Yankees are coming in a little banged up, no days off, going straight into it. At the time of taping, we're still off the high of yesterday's game because we're sitting down 4 o'clock Eastern or 4:30 Eastern. The game is going to begin, and we're waiting for the Guardians and Yankees. I will say that I was very confident the Guardians were going to take that game, and the Yanks came out and showed why they're the Yanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, Savali, first major league postseason start, right? Really tough position to be in. He's a command guy. Early on in the game, you saw, I don't know if it was nerves or what it was. He didn't have his normal command. His cutter wasn't very good. The Yankees ground him down in that first inning. Torres got a walk. 4 pitch walk to start the game. And then, the big boys came up after that, and you saw what happened. They got out to a 3-0 lead. And when you get out to a 3-0 lead early and you're the Yankees, it's really tough to come back on a Guardians team that doesn't hit very many homers. But I did see a stat going during the game. It said 15 of the 18 runs the Yankees have scored this postseason has come via the home run. So this series with the Astros is going to be very big. They got quality pitching. Obviously, the Astros do. If the Yankees can't manufacture runs and then don't hit the home run ball, maybe a really hard go for them to beat the Astros.
I remember being 12 years old down at the Sheraton Hotel getting autographs. I believe Roger Clemens signed a card for me. Hotel security picked me up and took me downstairs to the interrogation room, asked me why I was on the property at the time. The look on my face at that 12 years old kind of mirrored, I think, how the Guardians starter looked starting that game. I never got the feeling he got very comfortable out there. And, for all the talk of Stanton and health, no health, and is he overpaid, underpaid? He just showed why he's Stanton. He showed one swing of the bat. Remember that one game where he obliterated the ball? The ball actually came apart at the seams.
Yeah.
That's the way it looked like on that swing. Like it was a no doubter, and it's just an embarrassment of riches. But I kind of feel that hearing what you're saying and thinking about the Yanks lineup, it's nice to have the home run ball, but how much can you rely on it? If it's all or nothing. And I think the Astros are going to put him to real test. I have a really hard time predicting that series. I really like the Astros just because of the pitching aspect of it, but man, the Yanks got to be feeling good going into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I got the Astros in 6. I just think that they're well rested. They're lined up really well with their pitching. They got Verlander starting game 1. Not that Talion is not a quality pitcher, but he's not your number one, right? He's not Garrett Cole going into that game, and you have one on, your number one versus their number one, and that's why the series, if you can finish it a little bit earlier, gives you a little bit more an advantage. The Yankees had to go deeper, use more pitching, um, and they're in the spot where they're at. So they're just going to have to continue to try to find ways to win, and they're going to have to try to hit a few more home runs than what the Astros do.
We were talking before in a previous episode about the Yankees fans, and they could be pretty merciless on Twitter. And their two favorite whipping boys, so to speak, are now gone. First being Chapman, and then Aaron Hicks. So Yankees fans have gotten their wish, not the way they necessarily wanted it. Without getting too much into it, being a competitor, I'm sure Chapman is watching this, wishing he could be there. But man, it's going to be very hard to explain to teams next year why he was not on that roster and where he's headed, I think.
Well, I think everybody knows why he wasn't on the roster. He didn't show up for the workout, and they told him he probably wasn't going to be on the first round roster, and I don't think he was happy with that, as any competitor wouldn't be. Everybody wants to be on the roster, but sometimes you're just in a position where you're either not playing well or you're just not a good fit. So, it's very unfortunate. He's a great talent. He's got a great arm. He's done a lot of really good things throughout his career, and you hate to see a guy be sent home and not be part of a team that he was there for 162. But ultimately, he made the decision not to show up, and then the team made the decision what's best for them, because you don't want any distractions in the clubhouse as you're moving forward and going through the playoffs, because it's so important.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not in that clubhouse, but you've been there, and I'm gonna guess that this is more of a rallying point for the other players rather than deflating having this occurrence.
I'm not so sure I would call it a rallying point, but I think it's more of a relief that they don't have to deal with it. They don't have to answer questions to the media about why he's there or why he's not there. The front office can deflect all of that, and I think it just gives them a sense of relief that they can just go out and play the game of baseball and not worry about the secondhand things that might come up in the media.
It makes me think very much when you mentioned the first time you walked into the Braves locker room after the Rocker trade, and the guys giving you high fives and that sense of relief. So I don't know if it's that far off. It seems like you have enough pressure as it is in baseball with the regular season being so long, plus preseason, spring training, and then you got the playoffs pressure going to it. You need as little distractions as possible. So it's nice, I think, not in the relief of it. With Aaron Hicks, what the heck happened there, man? Because he's a strong outfielder. Didn't have the best year this year. Unfortunately, his season ended prematurely. I think Yankees fans are happy that he's not there. Not the way he's not there, though. But they're pretty strong defensively usually out there. Just what was it, too loud, you think, and they didn't hear each other, or how did that play go down?
Yeah, I just think that it's one of those plays where it's loud in the stadium. The shortstop's going out, and he has his eye on the ball. The outfielder's coming in at full speed, and he just got hit in the wrong spot. It just looked like Cabrera's knee hit the side of his knee and injured it, and he just wasn't able to go. Obviously, he looked like he wanted to stay in the game, but at that point, if you're injured, you're injured. There's nothing you could do, and it's such an unfortunate play. He's getting an opportunity to be in the lineup and maybe help that team, even not having the greatest year. But he's under contract. The Yankees feel like he's a component to that team, and he can help. Unfortunately, it ended, and he'll be missed for the remainder of the playoffs, and I'm sure he'll be there rooting on his team and hoping they do well.
It's one of those Yankees luxuries where we talked about before, year to year, they keep almost two sets of rosters going. So if somebody goes down, they got the replacement ready to go just for those kind of scenarios. And after we had two games yesterday, in fact, we had finally this deciding factor in the American League, and now we're going into the championship series. And the Phillies, man, are off rocket in the league championship series, and people already planning that parade. I would hesitate to start that, but man, they are looking really solid there. Schwarber, man, when he gets a hold of it, and they got exactly what they needed. They got the formula. You had your Wheeler on, you had Harper, you had Schwarber, and not getting their knocks, and just textbook beautiful game. I think Phillies fans have got to be thrilled with that game one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Wheeler pitched a tremendous game, 7 innings, one hit against a really tough lineup in San Diego. But Philadelphia, what they did this past offseason is they spent a lot of money on their offense, and that's what they needed. And obviously Wheeler was a few years ago, and he's a number one, and that's what you expect from your number one going out there. It's just one of those things where the Phillies have this formula right now that's just kind of working. Their starters getting kind of deep into games, and their starting pitchers giving them innings. They got Dominguez, who came in and pitched a tremendous eighth inning. He had Tommy John last year, and they're working him back in, but he looked fantastic. And then Alvarado, he's a wild card in the ninth inning. They made that error, and he did a tremendous job to get out of it, getting Machado, and then getting the final hitter there to make an out to seal game one. Getting off to a good start for them, I think, on the road is a big deal. It's a 7-game series. There's still a long way to go. Both teams have really good pitching, and then we'll see how the bullpen goes as we get into the series, and if the Phillies can hold up.
And having Robertson back, I think, has been huge as well. Like him getting injured, during the celebration, and I was telling you when I heard about that, they got to start putting them in bubble wrap. No more celebrating guys. Like, is it too many injuries? But he's back at least, and he was a great addition, I think, at the deadline, and having him available, and he didn't even have to pitch that game one. So I think the Phillies have to be really happy where they're at. And shocking stat that I had to do a double take on this, going into game two. There's been so many siblings playing Major League Baseball
Yeah,
and playing at the same time, but we've never had siblings face one another as a pitcher and hitter. And the Nola brothers are going to be facing each other in game two. How must those parents feel right now, and how cool is that stat?
it's really cool to be able to, probably face your brother on the other team in a league championship series. At least one of them's going to the World Series, right? So their family must be ecstatic to watch them. But I'm sure it's nerve wracking. I mean, who do you root for, right? Do you root for you root for Aaron, or you root for him
Austin.
on the other side catching Austin? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. I think the parents kind of stay neutral, and they wish the best for both. And we'll see what happens. But I think they faced each other during the regular season as well.
Correct.
So this is a little bit a different story with the playoffs being so much more intense and so much more hyped. And I don't really know who has the advantage in that situation. Is it Aaron, who knows how to pitch him, or is it Austin in the box, knowing what Aaron throws, and probably have faced him his whole life growing up in whatever they played on the street?
Well, it's all or nothing. I don't have the stats right away in front of me, but I can tell you that I believe it was a couple strikeouts and a couple knocks, and Austin getting the game-winning run through on a 1-0 win against Aaron. So those guys know each other inside out. I don't know, man. I think if I'm Aaron, I maybe pitch him a little inside, maybe knock him down a bit, send a message. I don't know, but that's always my answer for everything. But they got to have a lot of fun, but they have to put that aside because they got, all the other players on their team, that are dependent on them, and they got to take aside the personality part. So I think it's probably really hard to disconnect from it. But there's going to be a lot of nerves going to that first at bat and facing each other. So that's going to be a lot of fun for the fans, for the brothers, for the families. It's just another nice story, and one that I'm sure they did not picture anywhere close to this point of year that they were going to face one another. And, the baseball playoff gods worked in their favors. I mean, think about it. Mets, Dodgers, Braves, all gone. And who would have thought it was going to be the Phillies and Padres? So, good for them. And Mr. Josh Hader is riding the ship at the right time, and the Padres have to be thrilled about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this is the guy that the Padres expected to get when he came over in the trade. I know he got off to a little bit of a rough start, but again, you just don't know what's going on. The comfort level, getting adjusted, making the trade. I know he's been traded before, but never from a big league team to a big league team. So there's always an adjustment factor. I think that once he got settled, once he got comfortable, the real Josh Hader is shining and has been tremendous for them down the stretch in September and then in early October.
And in a couple of weeks, we're going to talk about the closing situation in baseball. It's quite interesting. When we sat at the beginning of the year, we looked at the top closers in baseball versus who finished at the end on the list. It always fluctuates year to year. That's the nature of the position. But the main topic for today's episode was this whole playoff structure, and fans are absolutely losing their minds. Saying that, okay, we got the best of three for the wild cards. Is that fair or not fair? And then even I had to do a double take at the beginning. It didn't click in. I remembered it, but then I forgot it. That best of five for the division. And why was it not a best of seven? And if the Yankees had gotten bounced out and the Guardians went in, I think people would have been pointing to saying that they were unfairly treated. They started off their series. This is they got a bye, and then they go into a best of five, and it's too many variables can happen in a short series. Why were they not in the game of seven? So best of seven. So starting off, from the wild card standings part of it, are you okay with the best of three?
I'm very good with the best of three. I mean, I don't think. I mean, let's just say, it is what it is, right? I mean, you're making the adjustments. You're trying to get an extra team into the playoffs. You're trying to give an advantage to a team who goes through 162 and finishes first in the division with the best record. They should get an advantage, and that is the bye in that, instead of having to play wait one day for the wild card team and then go into a 5-game series. But at the end of the day, you caught between a rock and a hard place, because there are people who say, and I'm on this side, is, if you have a 1-game playoff, and one game determines, it's great for the fans, but for the players who go through 162 games, one mistake can cost the season of 162, even if you're the better team. Listen, I was part of one in 2019. We lost to the Nationals. We were winning 3-1. Josh Hader had, whether you call it a bad ninth inning or an unlucky eighth inning, where Soto got the hit, and then a bad hop went over Grisham's glove in right field, and they scored 3 runs and they took the lead 4-3, and we lost. I mean, now if we lose that game, and maybe we have a better team than them, maybe we don't. I don't know, but you get the opportunity to come back the next day, and have a chance to take 2 from them to move on. So, I'm not a fan of the one card wild card. It's very exciting for the fans, but I do think if you go through a season of 162 games, there should be an opportunity for both teams to play a 3-game series and see who the better team is after that.
I'm in full agreement with you on every respect. I'm going to add in the fact that I like it. It's 3 consecutive games, get it done quick, but you still give them a fighting chance. I like adding in the extra team for the playoffs, getting more fans in different cities excited. The teams that get a bye don't have to wait too long. So from that end of it, from the wild card, I'm seeing it. I'm feeling it. Also, we start doing 3 best of sevens. We're going to go into December, it feels like. So
Yeah.
we got to end the madness at some point. But then, if I'm the Yanks, I'm the Astros, I'm the Braves, I'm the Dodgers, and I got my bye, and now we're starting the championship series. I had to do double take with this best of 5 business, because I know both teams have the same advantage and disadvantage, but it feels like you won your division, you were one of the top teams. I feel like you should get a fighting chance at a best of 7. If I was going to tweak it personally, I like the idea of the division series going to a best of 7. Agree or disagree?
I disagree.
Okay,
And I'll give you the reason why I
please.
disagree, is because, again, we just talked about why a team goes through 162 games like the Dodgers, wins 111 games, and gets the advantage of the bye and getting the rest of your players and set your pitching the way you want. Where the team who has to play the 3-game wild card loses their first, their stud or their starting pitcher, their number 1, probably going into that next series, and that's where the advantage comes in for the team who has gone through the season to win 110 games or 111 games, what the Dodgers won. So it's just like tonight. Um, the advantage probably goes to the Astros because the Yankees are now starting their number 3 or 4 starter, where Verlander is their number 1, and they get that opportunity. One, both teams had to bye, but the Astros disposed of the Mariners in 3 games and got those extra days rest to line it up, where the Yankees weren't capable of doing that or able to do that and had to go 5. The rain messed things up as well. But at the end of the day, the advantages and disadvantages are kind of just a roll of the dice, except for that first series, because you know what it's going to entail when you go through 162 and the last day of the season comes.
It feels like with the Astros and Yankees, I know what people are going to say already. I don't have to go on Twitter to predict it. Astros win. They had all the rest in the world. Yankees came in tired, blah, blah, blah. If the Yankees win, the Astros had too many days off. The Yankees came in firing all cylinders. You're damned if you're doing, you're damned if you don't, if you get days off or you don't get days off. So I think, that's where it comes down to. I do agree in the sense what you're saying. Every team that, whether it's a short series or long series, they all have the same advantages and disadvantages at the end of the day. We know the parameters. You're either winning 3 games or you're winning 4 games. But because almost all the favorite teams almost got bounced there, for some reason it felt like for people that the underdogs had this advantage all of a sudden. But yet, if the Dodgers, the Braves, the Astros, the Yankees all would have swept them 3-0, we wouldn't be having the same conversation. I think just because it was a funny year this year that so many favorites got bounced, which we'll talk about next week. And that's, I think, where we got more of a sense. But that being said, I don't know. I'm still somewhat of a traditionalist, and I still love those best of 7 series. I guess just the way I'm programmed. The same way, I guess I like that baseball keeps its traditions compared to hockey. So, for example, I always say like the way they had the shootout in hockey to end a game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, to me, it's like ending a baseball game on a home run derby. And Steve, if we ever come to the point that we're like in the 11th inning, and they're like, okay, home run derby time, and this decides the win, I'm done with baseball, brother. I'm not watching anymore. This is now too silly for me. When you're starting off people on second base, you're starting with 1 out already. Like, guys, we don't need to muck around with it that much. Let's keep some of the traditions, I would say. Like, we already now, no longer have pitchers hitting. Fine. I get it with injuries. We got to do this. A lot of it is based on TV time and what's important for advertisers. But there's a part of me that still longs for as much tradition as possible. Do you get that same feeling as we hear about these changes year to year?
Yeah, I mean they're trying to keep up, right, and trying to make adjustments to the game and trying to make it more interesting and try different new things out. But I compare the shootout in hockey to putting a runner on second base in the 10th inning, and there are a lot of different reasons for the reasons that the Major League Baseball wants to do that, and roster moves and pitching and injuries and things like that, and the length of games. That's part of it. I mean, if you want to go back to real traditional baseball, you have 2 divisions, you have 2 leagues. The winner of each division plays each other for the league championship series, 7 games, and goes to the World Series, and vice versa. You don't have 3 series, you don't have the wild card if you want to be a traditionalist. But you know how it is: the money in the game, the sponsorship. The more games there are, the more money the owners make, and obviously, the more money the owners make, there's more money that the players can make as well. So there's always going to be adjustments in the game, always to keep it new and fresh. But I agree with you. There's some traditional things that need to stay in the game of baseball on how it was developed and how it was brought to fruition.
When I think of the league, it's funny you say that because I still think of it as four divisions within each league, and I still see it in my head when I count off to myself: Baltimore, Boston, Cleveland, Detroit, Milwaukee, New York, Toronto. Then you have California, Chicago, Kansas City, Minnesota, Oakland, Seattle, Texas. And I'm like, man, it has changed a lot. It still blows my mind with the proximity that Detroit is not in the same division as the Jays, as the Yanks, as Boston. So I've always been a fan of realignment, and I'm telling you that we're going to see 2 new teams in expansion. It's going to happen. It's only a matter of time. And Houston got a big payoff to switch over to the AL, and I think that it paid off for them in many, many respects. Besides the initial payment that they got, But I don't think we're done with realignment. I don't think we're done with playoff tweaking. I think that baseball will continue to be a mad chemist when it comes to it. If it generates more interest in the game, it generates more money. The fans like it. The sponsors are liking it. It's gonna happen. Period.
Absolutely, 100%. That's just kind of what you have to do. You have to adapt and change and try to make the game better and expand it, whether it's to Mexico, to Europe, and that's what the World Baseball Classic's all about, right? It's about expanding the game. It's about getting and drawing and drumming up interest around the world, and that's what we want. I mean, it's a great game. It's a beautiful game, and everybody should enjoy it.
As we're summing up this week's episode, taking a look now. So you said the Astros are going to be taking the Yanks, right?
I said Astros in 6. That's what I think.
Astros in 6, and Phillies and Padres. You're seeing going where?
You know, as much as I think the Padres are a better team, there's something going on in Philly that is just one of those strange things that's happening. Every year there's a team that comes out of the blue and does it. I think the Phillies will have a tough go. I think they're going to lose a game here that they probably should win along the way. But I'm going to say Phillies in 7
And
in that series.
In that series, and when we go to the World Series, and it's Phillies and Astros.
I got the Astros in either 4 or 5.
And
I think the Astros are the best team in Major League Baseball right now, all around. Pitching, hitting. Now they don't only hit homers. They know how to manufacture runs. They know how to put the ball in play. They don't strike out very much. I just think that that team has a little swagger about them that is pretty good. I mean, I know not a lot of people might want to hear that, but when you just look at the nuts and bolts of it, they're a well-rounded ball club. They got a great bullpen. Their starting pitching is, top notch from top to bottom, and they're playing well, and they got a lot of confidence.
And I can see that going to the World Series as well, but I think Schwarber is going to win the World Series MVP, and it's going to be the Phillies, where I'm seeing right now. But like you said, short series, you never know what's going to happen in baseball. Baseball is a really funny sport, and I've been 0-4 till now. So let's see where it heads. But it's been the nice thing to see, first of all, exciting baseball, seeing the amount of fan interest in it. I think that Astros and Yanks, the sponsors and the TV execs must be thrilled. So after losing the Dodgers and losing the Braves, and it's going to be a great playoff series. And for baseball fans, get ready to enjoy some great ball. And it's a great time now to pause. We'll be back next week, and we're gonna be analyzing. Talk about a lot what went right. Next week we'll talk about what went wrong for some teams this year. Thank you as always, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jonathan.